I said I was going to not be here today, but unfortunately, or fortunately for you, I am here. Good morning, world. Good morning, Lagos, Nigeria, and good morning to the men in the studio. I am blessed amongst men.
Wow.
There we go.
You are indeed. And we're also blessed to have your presence.
Now let me ring the bell one more time.
Wake up.
I mean, while we rush into the studio this morning, it's going to be a fun. What do I want to call today? It's going to be
Fun Thursday.
No, we didn't really.
A jam-packed Thursday.
With the stories we're seeing,
jam-packed Thursday.
Yes, jam-packed. And there's nothing fun about what's going on in the country because as we speak, those teachers are still and students are still in the kidnappers' den in various parts of the country, and it's very unfortunate how we can easily move on to other issues when it's not been done. I saw a circular yesterday by the National Union of Teachers, or your state branch, and they were calling for fasting and prayers. Please, this is not the time for. I know fasting and prayers has its place, but please, this is not the time for fasting and prayers. What you would rather, I mean, if it was left to me, it's down tools until the students and the teachers are recovered from kidnappers. Yeah, down tools
indeed.
No teaching, no education in the state, nothing. Show solidarity, because, I mean, an attack on one is an attack on all. But what do I know? We still have other issues to talk about this morning, and it's going to be a hot wake-up conversation, Joe.
Very hot, very hot. This is going to be hotter than the akara that they sell on the streets.
Do they still sell akara?
Of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Of course. I mean, we have always been on this.
How do you know when somebody is above your tax bracket? Is when they ask questions like that.
Yeah.
No, like commute.
Like when they ask what's the price of milk.
Yeah,
we're very close.
Do you know the price of milk?
We're close to Secretariat, the Lagos State Government House. So if you're moving from Secretariat to New Central Studios, you can't find akara on the road. Maybe inner streets, yes. But on the road, Kai would Kai you.
But welcome. I want to say thank you to everyone who's joined us. Judith, good to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
It's a fantastic day. Packed Thursday, that's what we want to call it. It's packed because the stories that are coming out of River State is one that, many had predicted, some never predicted. And that's exactly what's going to make our story. But let me allow Judith, do the honors.
I've been given this honor, and I do not take it lightly, but also very, very, the twists that have come out of River State. If you haven't heard, this is the news as at this hour. River State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has stunned the political scene by withdrawing from the APC governorship primaries. He says his decision was guided by consultations with family, friends, and associates, and that leadership sometimes demands sacrifice. And this announcement comes amid deep divisions in Rivers APC. Dozens of aspirants loyal to Fubara were screened out, while allies of former governor and current FCT Minister Nyesom Wike were cleared. The withdrawal raises concerns and questions about whether APC can hold together in Rivers ahead of 2027. Fubara says Rivers is bigger than any individual. That's a direct quote from him. And many have asked if truly his withdrawal from the race is truly about a genuine sacrifice or political calculation. Now, with Wike's allies also dominating the cleared aspirants list, is APC in Rivers now fully or firmly under Wike's control? First of all, you can see the tweet there. That's the statement there on your screen from the governor of River State, Siminalayi Fubara. This statement was made yesterday, May 20th, 2026. Now, let's bring you, that is his withdrawal letter. I'm going to come back to the studio to take comments from from Joe and Benga. But first, let's quickly run off what Nigerians are saying on X. I think it's important that we sort of put this in context before we come in here. Stunned everyone. The very first one is from Biggest Mark. It says, hold your governors to account. Have you now seen why any other position aside from the presidency means nothing in Nigeria? First, he was unilaterally suspended by the president. Now he's not even giving the chance to seek a second term, all because his nemesis has the full support of the president. Keep deceiving yourselves. That's from Biggest Mark. This one here says, a sitting governor withdrawing from primary few days to the primary is crazy. They fear Ide fear? That's a question from him. Sir MD says, this is why governors are fighting to bring their loyal people closer to the seat of power to avoid heartbreaking stories.
To align with the center.
They don't see Fubara finish for that state. You know, that's from Sir MD.
When you read Pidgin like that, that's when you know someone's tax bracket. You
have to do a comeback.
This one is at @IAM_BAMS. He goes, I still don't understand how he never negotiated to be a senator, even if I am bowing out as a governor. At least compensate me with that. He can't play. That one there is from @IAM_BAMS. Pretty much all that we can take. Is there, or is there more, guys? I think that's it. That's it.
I mean, interesting
Sad news.
times we live in.
This is Ika Nation. He goes, let me get this clear. He won the governorship election as a PDP member, but he's stepping down after decamping to APC. What have they promised him to accept this type of humiliation? Very good question. Very good question. Let's see, one more? Do we have one more? That's all we've got from what Nigerians are saying.
I mean, at this point, we can only speculate. We're not in the mind or inside the head of Sir Siminalayi Fubara. We're only commenting as observers of the political scene.
Absolutely.
And we can just put one or two together and, make... I mean, nothing is cast in stone. We don't have insider information of what's going on in his head. He said he consulted with family members and he had come to this decision. Let me tell you, there's a reason why they say the murky waters of politics. And you kind of have a soft spot for him by saying it's sad, but you don't know what happened or what sorts of agreements were there in the first place, how he emerged as governor. And at the end of the day, it's the people that decide. And somebody in the comments, in the wake-up conversation said it could have been compensated with the senatorial seat. Look at the way we're playing politics. And senatorial seats are not retirement home for governors. It's not anybody's birthright. If the people of the senatorial zone feel he deserves to be a senator, they would elect him. So we treat politics as, things to compensate the elite class, as if it's their birthright. No, it's not. They need to work hard for any position they find themselves in. And if you recall, during the suspension, when we had the sole administrator, he said, I mean, look at me. Do you think I'm missing anything there? I'm fine. Because the headache of politics is and the pressure. So I wish him well in his endeavors. He had seen the light at the end of the tunnel and he saw that it was very dim or the battery is low. So he decided to take this decision so as not to Desmond himself. If you know what I mean.
No. Yeah. Big guy, I really don't understand.
So it's an Ambode 2.0 per scene in Rivers State.
It's sad that, first of all, March 18, 2025, that's the date that Nigerians will remember. That's the day the president called for a state of emergency on national television, of which many have asked till today. We hope to see the president more, either to give a state of emergency to other states that are bedeviled with
insecurity.
Serious
insecurity and killings, or a state of emergency that would, in a way, coerce the Nigerian security forces and then allay the fears of Nigerians as citizens, talking to them. But that date, which is 18th of March, the president came on the national television and called on a state of emergency, especially in Rivers State. And after that happened, Nigerians were saying, okay, what's really going on? That is where the focus of every single individual, including us as journalists, was now put on Governor Siminalayi Fubara.
Laser beam focus.
And of course, exactly. And of course, his Oga at the top, who happens to be also the FCT minister, the former governor as well.
Predecessor.
His predecessor, the minister, Nyesom Wike. It's been drama back to back. From that moment that the state of emergency was declared, I recall going to River State myself and, of course, the team, where we had a town hall. I can remember the fight that almost ensued, especially inside of the hall, where you had various camps fighting. The fight was based on the fact that, listen, give the governor free hand to run. Do not try to control him. There are so many stories we've heard concerning this entire situation. There's a situation, there's a case of, okay, before you carry on with the budget, I need to know what the budget looks like. There's a statement, there's a belief, there are beliefs, or rather, a belief that the governor could not function.
Yeah, he didn't have a free hand.
Because he had to curtail or listen to the directives that came from a certain place. Before he made anything or went ahead to make decisions, he had to get approval. And for a certain reason, people felt this is not how democracy should be. But like you said, Benga, whatever the decision was made or how it was made, whether it was made in closed doors, we were not there. Okay? But at the end of the day, I just want to make one point. When I saw the story yesterday, my mind was, okay, so what is democracy?
Where are the people
democracy
in all of this? Government of the people, by the people, for the people. So where's the democracy?
I don't get it. And then I juxtapose that with what is happening in the APC primaries. Take, for instance, there's someone in Oyo State who is currently, yesterday was driving in his car and he was outside of his car. He was cursing the APC, shouting, you know, he was angry. I'll try and get that video to upload.
Okay.
Why was he angry? He was angry because Sharafuddin, who is also a member of the APC, seems to be the chosen one. And he said, after buying forms for 50 million naira, doing all of that, this is what they gave to him. So we're starting to see even those who have been benefiting from this type of democracy now come out to say, no, it is not.
It doesn't suit you anymore.
And I think that's also a sham because it doesn't benefit you.
You cannot pick and choose.
Exactly. Because it doesn't benefit you. You come out to say, but in all of this, my major question this morning is, as a student of journalism and one who has been following different stories, news and current affairs, having read what democracy is, having followed the stories, asked questions via interviews, write and script, the question now is, okay, so what is democracy at the end of the day?
At the core of this, right, you guys are a very solid analysis, but for me, I'm going to come from a political point of view, and hopefully you bear with me. Democracy, yes, important, but also structure important, and why the governors why they've refused the governor to be a governor and be the #1 leader of the party, as said by the president, who is the #1 leader of the party. Away from that is a core issue here. You just stated all the allegations that was made during the town hall meeting, the new central town hall meeting that was held in Rivers State last year, just at the peak of the emergency rule. And I will state this very clearly here. All those allegations points to one thing and one thing only: the becoming and the emergence of a Baba Sokwe 2.0. You may not see it now, we may not know it now, but from all that this indicates, from all of the allegations, from all that we have seen, this is the becoming or the emergence of a Baba Sokwe 2.0. And if we say, as a people, that this current dispensation is a sham or a disgrace or a sacrilege to the democracy that we so hopefully we want to uphold, then an emergence of a Baba Sokwe 2.0 can only mean even more structural weakness to our democracy. That being said, I have to say that His Excellency Sir Siminalayi Fubara, well done, sir. All right. In the last 1 year, I don't think anybody would have been able to stomach what you have stomached in the last 1 year. At this point, somebody, one of the reaction there said one word: humiliation, right? And quite frankly, I do not want to use such a word as severe as that, but at this point, it begs to ask the question. I do not know what the future holds. I don't know where it hails from here, but I must say, well done, sir. I'm certain that the River State people are with you. They're with you. If you're stepping down, I mean, you said from the statement, he said, let me make this very clear. I do not make my withdrawal out of fear, out of intimidation, but for the sacrifice of River State and for my servitude to River State. And so for that statement, well done, sir, and we hope to hear from you in the future.
It's a tough one.
He also said, I think politics is bigger than anyone in
I said the River State is bigger.
River State
is bigger than anyone.
Speaking of River State being bigger, if a Baba Sokwe 2.0 is in charge, is now clearly at this point juxtaposing to be what might say a godfather of River State, that solely means that somebody is in charge of the purse of the economy. Our purse is the oils, and that oil fuels the budget, and that oil, anyone who sits on it holds the chips. I must say this, and I will say this very clearly, power is transient. And there's nobody that's above disposition.
You know the
we have seen it with El Rufai. We have seen it with Mechi.
I mean,
we can see it
seen
again.
it with Genghis Khan. I mean, the biggest emperors in the world. Like, what happened at the end of the day? Even in Rome collapsed. So power is indeed very transient.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot that we need to look at. But this would form a major conversation from today. I mean, we're looking at some of the stories that will stay and make the headlines for the week. I think this would make the headlines for as long as we can imagine.
Oh,
from
gosh.
Now up until Sunday. And this also points to the fact that journalists, whether you like it or not, we must also give kudos to the men on the field because they had a foresight. One, you just had to put 1 and 2 together. Every other governor, okay, was passing through the checks and balances of the political party in which he was going to run after getting the form.
The screenings, yeah.
Which we call the screening.
Without issues.
Governor Siminalayi Fubara, there were questions. Oh, no, he's not going to get screened. He's not going to get screened. He's not going to get screened. He was supposed to be screened in River State. But guess where he went to be screened? Plateau. Jos. Now, trust the men on the ground. They were there. And the first report that came out was that as soon as the governor was coming out, he didn't look happy. You recall the story. I don't know, we have the footage as well.
Right.
As soon as he walked out, and people said, how did it go? Were you screened?
He said no comments.
He didn't talk to the press. And the press, members of the press, trying to put 1 and 2 together, hindsight said, it's not yet Uhuru. It doesn't look good. It became even more worrisome when 65 of his allies, loyal to him,
were not screened.
Yeah.
Where some of them said they were screened. Apparently, there were videos where they were even dancing that, oh, we've been screened. Now let's go to war. They were ready to go to war. So we saw a battle of some sort where some people said, hey, we've picked up our swords. We're not sheathing them. Let's go straight. Others said, you know what? Let's sheath the swords one way or the other. In between, all of a sudden, they said, you're no longer screened. And the big one, we have a PDP member who's a minority leader in the House, or in the
State House of Assembly?
Oh. He's also contesting for the governorship, but he didn't declare that he had left the PDP.
Good question. So who then who's going to be?
There's a whole lot of, neither here nor there going on. And when Nigerians speak, just like we read in their tweet, you may wonder, okay, fine, what's really going on?
Look, yesterday, right, I was asking, one of the questions that was on my mind, I was prepping for today, was that 2 things. Number one, if Tony Cole and Fubara is now stepping away, then who will be fingered to lead the River State, right? Because when you think about it, Martin Omawale has gone into the House, is going back to the State House of Assembly. And we know that the way the states are structured, the assemblies always seem to have more power than the governors. They can veto and not veto on issues regarding the governor, right?
Who will be the candidate for candidate, not the governor? Because
okay, let's do technically who will be the candidate for the APC
and the other parties
fingered to be the because again. There's also, and then the second part of it is that there's a rainbow coalition between the APC and the PDP in River State. So then will the PDP produce a worthy opponent against the APC? And so that's what 2 things in my head. Well, and only time will tell.
You know, whenever we come here every morning, we always get either amazed or dazed with the stories that we see. But let's take you to what we talked about yesterday. It was going to be D-Day, and D-Day did come. Okay, Surulere constituency 1 in Lagos yesterday witnessed a political upset, especially with Nollywood actor turned lawmaker, politician Desmond Elliot losing his APC return ticket after serving multiple terms in Lagos State House of Assembly, you could say 12 years. Party stakeholders had allegedly urged him to step down for another aspirant, Barrister Barakat Odunuga-Bakare, after his fallout with his estranged political godfather, Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila. But you see, Desmond Elliot said, no, I don't know about anything. First off, he said he was in South Africa. He was accused of supporting the removal of the then Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly. He said he knew nothing about it. He was in South Africa with his wife. And then he came back to Nigeria. He was given documents to sign, and then he signed it. Anyway, that story we already highlighted. The lawmaker lost to his former ally, Barrister Barakat Odunuga-Bakare, who polled 11,385 votes against Elliot's 270 votes, although the lawmaker had just before the primaries withdrawn from the race, following allegations of harassment and intimidation of his supporters. Now, let me also make it clear, he actually resigned while the primaries were just kicking off.
On the spot.
On the spot. And then he said, make a video. But let's see if we have these videos to show to you as well, so you can take a look at them.
My name is Desmond Elliot, and of course, in all zones, they've been intimidating and stopping us. I want to officially announce my withdrawal from this particular race. This is my ward. If you go outside, those are my people outside, and they've not, please show them outside. They've not been allowed. So I am officially announcing my withdrawal from this race. Good luck. Thank you, and God bless you. The voters are out there. You can hear them. Why don't you turn? Turn around. Turn around. Turn around. Turn around. So as you can see, my voters are not allowed to come in, supporters. And hey, so that's all I have to say. Well done. At least I got it to this point. Thank God.
Reporting live from Yaba Ward, Yaba Ojo-Elegba Ward. Our people are here, they are fully ready. Who are you people?
So it's drama upon drama, guys. That's exactly what we've seen. We've never seen the APC primaries look this tainted with a lot of pain, regrets, tears, violence, and the likes. And this is making Nigerians wonder if it is like this.
I mean, if you can have this kind of fighting in a family, what's going to happen when you're contesting with members of other families? It's really, really interesting. And I guess that puts an end to the drama with regards to Surulere constituency wall. Like Judith has said in the past, she's seen the handwriting on the wall. Most political observers would have seen it. It was a fight in exercising futility to even try to get to this point. And what happens is that there will be repercussions for, defying the orders of the godfathers and the grand godfather by even dragging it to this point. And what that means is maybe any future political appointments under this administration,
Otilo,
you will not get any favors. If you have a business that is contravening the law, they will be very happy to clamp down on you. So you have to walk the straight and narrow path for the rest of your life. But I'm sure he's entitled to some sort of pension. He spent 12 years in the House and he's a decent fellow, so he'll do well. And, actors never retire, so it's inborn, it's in him. He'll do well in Nollywood, I mean, if he chooses to return. And also, others have been calling for a film village, maybe in Surulere or somewhere. So these things can... where's this space?
Where is this space? Where?
Maybe they can cut a section of Teslim Balogun Stadium. Because that stadium is lying fallow, or National Stadium. National Stadium is now pepper soup joint.
You're right.
What do you mean by that? It's always been pepper soup joint.
It has always had this pepper soup
spot there, yeah. Just as you drive in, it's right there, right in front of you. So
you sound like a regular customer.
Yeah, well, of course.
Yeah.
We know the place now.
But the sporting arena is meant for sports.
So there's also tourism as well, and hospitality. You cannot go play football.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
But the main reason why, anyway, we're talking.
Let's talk about this.
It's okay. No, look,
because these are. You see this conversation we're having now. This is the exact conversation he would have gone to the media houses to have. And I always say this: when you don't work, you don't show working.
nobody will back you.
See, this should be a caveat, or better, so this should be a playbook to any politician. I am not, and I will never be. But if you are, it's just simple as ABC. Do the job.
Yeah.
Do the work.
Yeah.
Everyone is screaming, Alex Oti, Alex Oti, Alex Oti.
Yeah.
The deputy speaker was
Benjamin Kalu
was planning to run again. Nobody told him. He pulled back.
Pulled back.
Because he
It
can't.
was
If you go there,
uphill task.
yes,
Yeah.
no. If you go there,
What do you
it's
want
obvious
to
that
say?
you will lose. And we're not saying this because we're taking sides. It is just obvious.
It's obvious.
And then you can't
Clear as
turn
day and
back.
night.
You signed the law, the electoral 20. You just reviewed the laws, so you can't go and run and then turn back again and say, "I want to come back to the house of rep."
So
It's gone.
choose
so it
your
means
battle.
you will become a non-politician rather.
You rest for the
Separate
next
that
4
way.
years.
Anyway, Judith.
Gentlemen, all solid analysis, but I wish Desmond, I wish Mr. Elliot had read the writing on the wall as early as he possibly could. I wish that it didn't take this turn. I wish it didn't come to this point that it has come to. And yeah, like, you know, Benga said, and everyone who's a fan and also has watched Nollywood said that, of course, actors never retire. So there's always a cushion, a nice cushion for him to fall back on. But 12 years is a long time in the State House of Assembly. 12 years is a long time to be in the good graces of your godfather to ruining it all for this. That's all I have to say. If there's any way that you can find your way to go back into the good graces of your godfather, I hope you do. And I hope that the ears will be open, the hearts will be soft to hear you. And I really hope so. But I just wish, you know, you heard all the advice and you never got to this point. All the media tours, all the media campaigns.
It was too late, eh?
We also need to have a
It was
conversation
definitely-
about godfathers. I mean, in politics.
That should be a
That's
special
why I
call.
said-
Is there a difference between mentors and political mentors? You have your mentees. Even in private sector, you have mentors, you have godfathers and all of that. But the type of godfathers that we have
In
that
politics.
in Nigeria, they're pulling the strings. You can't walk with a free hand. They're reining you in. Is it not inimical to our democratic experience as a country?
Benga, you've asked the right questions, and I think that it should be a conversation we should have either as a town hall,
Right.
as a new central town hall,
Yeah.
where we can bring experienced, old, and respected politicians
Right.
who have been there, done that, to sit down, and then bring the younger generation of politicians to sit down, and then bring Nigerians who are interested to also sit down. Let's have a tete-a-tete. Let's look at it generally. Maybe the civil service, society organizations will also be there.
To also be there, yeah.
And many other bodies. Because the truth is, like you said, take for instance, in the corporate world, you have a godfather, okay? He looks after you, he directs you, tells you what to do. Of course, he makes 1 or 2 phone calls and say, oh, yeah, this is my son.
Yeah, they make it easier for you, yeah. And they hold your hand, yeah.
You know,
But
employ him.
you, as the godson,
so
also need to be competent and have skill
That's
sets.
where we're going to.
Yes,
That's where
yeah.
we're going to.
Yeah.
And he says, I need you to employ him, please. Take a look at him. Look at his CV. They send you, you go to Harvard, you come out, okay, this guy is right. Oh, wonderful. 1 phone call, you're there. You're working in one of the biggest companies. But you are, like you said, very competent. If you're not competent, there's a level to which his influence can take you to. Because he himself would understand as a godfather who is there that he can't keep making these calls on your behalf. And then there's a level of
If you're not
free-handedness.
prepared, yes.
He tells you, run your thing. If you have any issues,
Because
come to
that
me.
godfather that helped you into that company is not expecting you to remit
He's not,
X amount of money to his account every month just because he helped you to get this job.
Right.
But in the politics of Nigeria, I think the situation is different.
I also think that for this town hall, we need historians as well, and also political, not political scientists, not political analysts, but political scientists, right? Because what we know is that there've always been the appearance of figures that are like that godfather-like, right? Whether it's Churchill, whether for Britain or for the UK, or whether it's here in Nigeria with Awo and, you know, the likes. There's always been an emergence of a figure that is somewhat of a mentor / godfather, right? But then they've all morphed to something completely different, right? And that's the thing about precedents. Every single time that somebody bends the rule a little, it emboldens the next generation.
Precedent.
So precedent is what is causing what we're seeing.
I mean, for anybody who watches Breakfast Today, I've always been
hammered on that point.
About
precedents. I would say
we're building a generation where, before you have the current Ugandan situation, remember, Benga, there was somebody in Uganda who had ruled Uganda too. We know how brutal it was, you remember? You know? And the precedence is set. You see the next generation, even though it might seem like, oh, you know, it's likely, but what we're getting. So what we're doing now is, the question anyone should ask in power is, are we building systems that would stand, or are we destroying the fabrics that have been built by those who were clamoring for either a referendum, either democracy, or so on? But let's go to YouTube.
I remember when Barack Obama was in Ghana during his presidency. He says Africa needs strong institutions and not big names. So the institutions will test they will last the test of time, and the individuals go.
The integrity or the foundation of a system itself, of a country itself.
Yeah,
let's take.
But Honorable Barakat
Congratulations,
congratulations, but she still needs to test her popularity against
at the polls
against NDC, ADC, and the rest of the political parties that are also contesting for Surulere Constituency 1. Absolutely.
Let's take some comments on YouTube very quickly. Fubara is not a regular politician, so says Mokwe Chukwemeka. Also says body treatment. That's what he says right there. Michael Zio says Fubara is a kindergarten politician. We can see the reactions coming from Nigerians, how unhappy they are. He was removed and he went to align with Tinubu. He obtained APC 091 and sang on your mandate louder than anyone else. Now you see the disgrace. Well, point of correction, he wasn't really singing louder.
Yeah, he didn't sing loud. I didn't even see him with the emblems. He wasn't wearing the shirts. He was a cool guy.
Your thoughts?
He's a soft-spoken
Nathan
man.
Emmanuel says, clearly an aberration in our democracy. Wike in PDP controlling APC. Chinda, a minority leader as a PDP member in NAS, but an APC governorship aspirant. This bad democracy requires another definition, he says. Media Georgia says, Fubara cannot last in Rivers. Wike is a weapon fashioned against him and Amaule. Wike is becoming Tinubu of Lagos in Rivers State. This is the time to put him in his place, because how are they allowing him to control two parties? Democracy in Nigeria is only on the pages of papers, he says. All these Fubara and Jonathan type of politicians we no like them. And so he says, because after standing by them through thick and thin, they will just wake up and back down from a race. That's from Straight Face Media, it says. Jesse Aripo says, Fubara is a political weakling. My advice for Rivers State people to mobilize and vote against any candidate presented by Wike. They can't allow a whole state to be pocketed by one man. And then so many comments. Let's move on. Mokwe Chukwemeka says, Baba Sokwe politics has to be defeated come 2027 else. Anyway, that's your thought. Also, other thoughts, let's take this one. Media Judge says, Gbaja cannot save Desmond. Again, I'm amazed at the level of Desmond Elliot's ingratitude. For God's sake, you were a political non-entity and someone helped you become a legislator for 12 years.
12 years.
When they say your time is up, please leave.
What's the name of that Quentin Tarantino movie that starts with 12 years? Anyway, I'm not
12 years. We'll have to go on a break. Thank you so much for all of your comments and all on YouTube.
I will go on a break. Is it time to go on a break?
It's time to go on a break.
This was removed. Anyway, let's move away from that conversation. So we looked at Rivers State, we looked at Lagos State. Let's now move to a video. Benga, this is your bit. I mean, this video is circulating. And
I mean, quite shocking. And the international community, the United States, did talk about some West Africa drug issues. El Chapo-like things are happening right under our nose. But kudos to the men of the NDLEA. They dismantled. There was a drug bust somewhere in Ogun State. But let's take a look at the video, and then I will come back to tell you everything that transpired. Here you see on your screen is a man of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, dismantling one of Nigeria's largest methamphetamine lab in Ogun State, operated by a Nigerian cartel with Mexican collaborators. The bust led to the recovery of drugs and chemicals worth over 480 billion naira, with 10 suspects arrested, including 3 Mexican nationals, and exposed the growing sophistication of transnational drugs network in Nigeria. I mean, from the footage, you can see that the facility is in the middle of nowhere, and NDLEA must have acted on some tips and intelligence. So kudos to the men and women of the Nigerian Drug Law Enforcement Agency for this drug bust.
I must agree with you, and they deserve the bell. They deserve it. Great job, well done. And we'll have more of this conversation. It's sad that we're battling with a drug situation,
All
especially
sorts
in
of
some parts of the country.
malaise.
Yeah.
Let's go on a short break, shall we? We've been told we have our guest, our second guest, lined up just for you to get started. In-depth analysis, River State, APC, ADC, plus the front pages. Let's get started. Stories this morning, Governor Fubara withdraws from Rivers APC governorship primaries. From there, we head to the ADC as it screens Atiku, Amechi, and Hayatu-Deen for presidential tickets. And of course, Nigeria's 40 trillion naira revenue target under threat from tax leakages. We're going to take a look at that. And lastly, politics here, SDP convention. The party ratifies sole presidential candidate. And not to forget, at our last hour, at 9 o'clock, it's going to be in-depth analysis of the newspapers front pages only here on Breakfast Central.
Thanks for staying with us on Breakfast Central. The Nigeria Revenue Service has raised fresh concerns over persistent leakages within Nigeria's revenue system, warning that delayed remittances weaken tax compliance and poor accountability, especially by some government institutions and subnational entities, could undermine its 40 trillion naira revenue target for 2026. Speaking at a tax compliance workshop in Abuja, the agency disclosed that recent audits uncovered major gaps in the deduction and remittance of VAT, that's value-added tax, and withholding tax, while also questioning the fiscal structure, where some states continue to draw heavily from federation allocations without making commensurate contributions to the national revenue pool. According to the NRX, the imbalance is weakening Nigeria's fiscal stability and complicating efforts to sustainably fund critical government obligations amid rising economic pressures.
Now, the concerns are also fueling wider debates around transparency as well as accountability in Nigeria's public finance system, especially as the country continues to deepen on borrowing from institutions like the World Bank to support reforms, infrastructure, and budget financing. Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Olisa Agbakuba, has recently weighed in on the issue, raising concerns over leakages within the Federation account structure and broader inefficiencies weakening the country's fiscal framework. Let's take a listen to what he had to say. Take a look.
Opportunity for public revenue that is generated from diverse sources to be dissipated to the tune of about 20 trillion a year. Now, if you look back 10 years, that's 200 trillion. And if you see what we borrowed over the last 10 years, it's only 150 trillion.
Joining us now to discuss this is economist and principal partner at Woodridge and Scott Consulting, Mr. Segun Shukbito. He joins us live in the studio. Mr. Shukbito, good morning to you, and thank you so much for coming.
Good morning, Mr. Shukbito.
Good morning.
Good morning.
See you.
The NRS says there's structural leakages in the VAT and withholding tax remittances, and they're threatening, revenue projections. And these projections are what we've sort of structured our budgets on, isn't it? And so one has to ask, where then this all lies. I mean, from your fiscal policy standpoint, what are we looking at? What extent is this? And how did it get to this point of not noticing?
I mean, look, the most disturbing part of this is coming from the Nigeria Revenue Service, and they are speaking not about Nigerian citizens, corporate or individual. they're speaking about government agencies and subnational governments.
Right.
And that is deeply disturbing because if you have a compliance problem from the government itself, then you have failed right from the start, right from the go. You know, what's the moral justification then for citizens not to strenuously attempt to evade? I'm not talking of avoidance, because there's avoidance and it's legal. Evasion is illegal, and people are going to strive to evade just coming off the signaling coming from the NRS. The NRS is telling us that the government itself is unwilling to pay, or is dodging payment, or is evading payment. As government, then, you know, why should citizens do otherwise? And that then now feeds into the fiscal, you know, issues like you spoke about, because what that then means is that there will almost inevitably and certainly be a shortfall on revenue targets. We've got a target of 40 trillion naira, which is just about what we targeted last year as well, fell very, very badly short of that. And now we're seeing why. It also must be said, though, that the NRS has put technology platforms in place to ensure that people can't evade. You know, so and then that now begins to raise the question of the social contract, you know, which we can go into.
Now, Mr. Soputon, the federal government earlier this week said that it missed its first quarter Q1 tax target, recording an actual collection of 7.44 trillion. As against a projected 9.68 trillion, the result in 2.24 deficit has triggered debt and compliance concerns amidst ongoing tax reforms. Having said this, what impact would this have on ordinary Nigerians? Because we saw the budget defense play out in the National Assembly, and a lot of ministries and MDAs didn't have the capital component of their budgets financed as a result of, I mean, for one reason or the other. So what real-life consequences will this have on ordinary Nigerians?
I mean, that one reason or the other is actually the problem, because, you know, the primary reason that these funds were not released is that the available funds were used to fund recurrent expenditure. They used to pay salaries and cover overheads. And by the time they're done with that, because of the revenue shortfalls, there's no money left for capital expenditure unless you borrow. And that's why we've seen that at the very beginning of this year, we've already approved a borrowing of well over 10 trillion naira, $7 billion already approved for this year, you know, and we're just in May. So what that means is that government will be unable to execute the badly needed development initiatives that will drive the growth, you know, for Nigerians and lift us out of these very difficult straits that we find ourselves in as a result of the policies of this same government. It's all not looking very rosy. The sheer indiscipline, fiscal indiscipline that we see playing out under this administration, you know, honestly, I'm surprised that there isn't a bigger outcry, especially from amongst my colleagues, you know.
You say indiscipline.
Economic watchers and all of that.
But you say indiscipline, but the APC will point to the Lagos airport, the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, that is undergoing a major transformation. They will point to the Lagos-Calabar Superhighway that is almost in Ogun State now. About 100 kilometers have been done, very modern with street lights. They will point to Badagry-Sokoto Superhighway and other projects around the country, which is done to, you know, stimulate growth and connect, you know, goods to markets and all of that. Is that not enough evidence of what has been done with the money?
I mean, look, this point you raise raises a very serious issue of confusion for many citizens, because three things have happened. One, subsidies have been removed, and we've been told that subsidies resulted in significant savings. I tracked these things myself. I saw a sharp jump in FAC allocations, you know, in the aftermath of subsidy removal.
Yes.
The exchange rate was floated. That also resulted in some savings, because what the CBN then did was it stopped backing the naira in the market, and, you know, because that's a subsidy in itself. Artificially, you know. And then, at the same time, while we have all of these savings, where the government has gone on an aggressive revenue drive. As we've seen, the Customs Service, the NRS have boasted about exceeding their revenue targets.
Absolutely.
True.
At the same time, we've seen borrowing balloon. It's exploded. We started off 3 years ago at about 41 trillion naira, total debt profile of the country. We're at 150 trillion. So now if you juxtapose all these three things to the application of funds and the so-called infrastructure projects, you begin to see a very serious mismatch. And you begin to really ask, where's the money? Who is giving account of the savings that have been achieved and what has been done with those savings, instead of somebody telling us, pointing us to the subnational governments and saying, because that's the standard response.
Hold your governors accountable.
Yes, they point to the governors and say, go to your state. Go hold them accountable. No, the state did not remove subsidy. You did. So the savings that came from the subsidy removal, you are supposed to give account to the people who are living a harder life as a result of your decision, not the governors. So these things just simply don't align and tie up. And that's why I refer to the fiscal indiscipline, because what we're finding is that we're creating the problem for the future. That 5 years, 6 years from today, after this administration is out, whoever takes over is going to have a serious debt service problem, sustainability issue on their hands, which is where we were 11 years ago when President Goodluck Jonathan tried to remove subsidies and spoke about the fact that the country was almost bust. We'd almost gone bankrupt.
It was bursting at the seams.
Yeah, exactly. And here we are, 12 years later, having done all of the things that the government said they were going to do, and we're still busting at the seams. We're still borrowing. It just simply does not make sense.
So does it seem like we're just running around in circles
Absolutely.
in the past 12 years? And yet Nigerians are being told that, listen, the economy is, because you highlighted a key point that we always hear. Whenever you ask, so where are the monies? They tell you, oh, there's FAC. The governors are receiving more. Hold the subnationals accountable, and so on and so forth. But where do we go from here? If government parastatals are not remitting value-added tax, where do we go? The irony, like I said, just yesterday, my company made payments on the tax platform of the NRS. And the way it's been designed, you can't escape. You are going to pay. Tell us about it.
They hook your neck. Every invoice that you issue, that is issued, or that you issue to your clients, because our clients are large, corporates and all of that, they are they have to log it on the NRS platform. So the information is there that you've issued this invoice. So if you do not also go to that same platform to report and declare your invoice and pay the VAT, it's just waiting for you. And there's a warning that there is a stiff penalty for non-payment. So if you don't do it now, it's waiting for you. You just maybe at the end of the year. And I was saying this on another platform yesterday. Look, a lot of people are going to end up in jail, over the next year and a half. I'm not joking, because...
But we already have a prison congestion issue.
Yeah, but you are going to have, we'll have to create...
We have to build a new...
We have to create prison annex for people.
Why is that?
Because and I like it. We've got to contextualize everything. We need to pay taxes, right? So I like the fact that what the government has now done is that there's no escape for you as a corporate citizen or as an individual citizen. You are going to pay your taxes. And if you don't, you'll go to jail. It's a good thing. The problem that I have is that the government is not leading by example. And that really creates a very serious challenge from a signaling and trust perspective.
Speaking of leading by example, let's take a look at what Olisa Agbakuba said about the federal account system. He said that it's inefficient, that there are weaknesses in it. And I want you to just, discuss on that. If you can play that that clip of him again, just talking to Victor Mbadike. Take a look.
Use opportunity for public revenue that is generated from diverse sources to be dissipated to the tune of about 20 trillion a year. Now, if you look back 10 years, that's 200 trillion. And if you see what we borrowed over the last 10 years, it's only 150 trillion.
Now, he's talking also about our debt profile as well. I was watching a short clip from another platform where a host was saying that Nigerians always have knee-jerk reactions when it comes to debt, and he mentioned 2 other African countries who also have more higher debt profile, and that's South Africa and Egypt. But these are 2 thriving economies, right? These are 2 leaders who have been able to garner. They have infrastructural development, they have social programs, and they also have what to show for these debts compared to ours. So let's talk about the federal account system that Mr. Akwakuba has pointed to in terms of inefficiencies, and also to our debt profile, and what you make of that statement saying that it's a knee-jerk reaction and we're perfectly fine compared to Egypt and South Africa. I
mean, come on, there are indicators that you look at that will tell you you're fine. And that's what the politicians will do. They're going to look at that. For example, your debt to GDP ratio. So from a debt to GDP ratio perspective, we're hovering somewhere around 60%. And somebody might argue with you and say, well, yeah, the United States is at 110. Japan is on 200% debt to GDP. Forgetting, first of all, the absolute numbers that created those ratios are significantly, starkly different. Forgetting what your per capita GDP is saying in those places, forgetting what the infrastructure deficit gap between those places and ourselves is all about, and forgetting the tax revenue to GDP ratio of those places. Because the challenge now is that if you keep looking at the debt to GDP ratio and using that to justify and say, look, this is a knee-jerk thing, we're in a better position than a lot of people, well, compare your tax revenue to your GDP and compare to those places. And you find that Nigeria is at a point, and I did these numbers myself, at a point about 3 years ago, where they were only better than Democratic Republic of Congo and Afghanistan. Wow. In terms of revenue to GDP.
Not the US.
Not a good look. No.
Not a good look at all.
The developed countries, some of them are trending at 50%. Revenue to GDP ratio, right? Nigeria, as at that time, was trending at about 5%. To the credit of this government, and not surprisingly, because, of course, we know that this is an area of strength for the president, we've upped that ratio now. We're doing better than we were 3 years ago. I think we're around 10%, 12% now. But really, if we want to be healthy, we need to be generating a whole lot more revenue, and we need to be more responsible with what we're doing with the debt situation, because we're creating, in fact, it's not we're creating, we're in a debt trap. We're in a situation where every year the deficit grows bigger, you therefore have to borrow more, and therefore your debt service obligations continue to grow. So for example, in this year's budget, the deficit is somewhere around 23 trillion naira, right? Debt service obligation provision in the same budget is about 17 trillion naira. Debt service alone is accounting for about 30% of the entire budget. I mean, look, it's unsustainable.
We saw the president say the recent borrowings, almost 11-point-something billion will go to debts.
Yes.
Servicing. And that brings me...
It's unsustainable.
Next question, because the total annual debt service is estimated to cost around 16 trillion.
Exactly.
That's a huge amount of money, and we're allocating anywhere from 60 to 70% of its total retained revenue towards... paying debt. That's irresponsible. If any family head is operating like that, you say this.
We'll call family meeting.
Exactly. You say it's irresponsible. And that brings me to this. We've looked at the diagnosis. Now, what do you recommend for treatment? How do we save this? Number one, do we go towards the route of fasting and praying? Because it's almost like a policy now in Nigeria. Then do you think we might go the Olusegun Obasanjo approach? Because Mr. President mentioned it at the Africa CEO Summit in Rwanda, that no favorable terms for debt. So maybe ask for debt forgiveness and say, we'll not do it again. Let's start from
Forgive
scratch.
us.
Forgive us. But we don't know what we are doing.
We'll be laughed out of the room. So that's not, I'm surprised.
Yeah, but Obasanjo did it.
Yeah, but our circumstances were
democracy
significantly
was
different.
Fresh,
Democracy was fresh. The economic circumstances were very difficult. We're just trying to build from a period of dictatorship and all of that. So, you had a lot of sympathy in the international community. Now, we're 27 years into this democracy. And
we're in nascent democracy.
Yes, and very crucially, this president has gone around the world boasting about the success of his reforms, and that Nigeria has turned an economic corner. You know, so you can't be saying to the world that we've turned the corner. The economy is now beginning to boom. That's what they're saying, right? And then the same you will then go back to people that have borrowed, lent money to you, and you're saying, oh, sorry, I need help. No, excuse me, you said your economy was booming. You know, so we'll be laughed out of the room. So it's not an option.
It's almost like
it's not an option. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what it is. That's what we're doing. You know, so to the other points that you made, you know, what's the way forward? I think that the first problem that I have, before I then talk about the way forward, is that at the moment, it's business as usual. And that's a problem. You know, we, as Nigerians, we're sleepwalking. We don't seem to realize that
we don't see any sense of urgency.
We're just sleepwalking towards a precipice. This administration came on board, and, you know, as politicians would always do, they have a lot of jazz words. They've got beautiful looking numbers. You know, they tell you about the GDP growth rate. You know, the inflation has come down. But the reality on the streets are very different. And when you look at your fiscal situation, which was the argument for all the reforms, we're nowhere near better off significantly. So we need to walk away from the business as usual. Somebody needs to stand up in the room and say, hey, this far no more. We need to do things differently. The first step in that is transparency and accountability. Societies that understand the value that provides to their own development, they prioritize it. The government itself creates mechanisms that forces it to be transparent and accountable to the people, because it knows that it will force their hands to do the right things and grow the country. So we need the president to create a framework where every single dime that is coming into the coffers of the government is accounted for on a regular basis, maybe quarterly. And there are provisions for that in the law. But, you know, we're just simply ignoring it. There's supposed to be a quarterly budget performance report, for example. It's never done. You know, the one for last year, the most recent report we have is the one for Q2 of 2025.
And it's part of the constitutional responsibility.
And it's a legal requirement.
We've talked about it.
It's a legal requirement.
Why is it that the Ministry of Finance has failed to actually share these reports? Why is it that?
I mean, I think
the last one we had was
budget,
Ministry of Budget. The last one we had was 2024, Q2 of 2024.
Yeah.
And up until now, we still haven't gotten quarterly reports on how the budget is. And why
New Central might have to put in FOI requests on that.
It's
on
actually in the
Nigeria?
Fiscal Responsibility Act.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's in the act that you must tell the Nigerian people what you do quarterly.
Line item.
And we've not seen that. And nobody's saying anything?
Yeah, and that's the reason that it's not been done, because nobody's saying anything. Nobody's making the demands.
I want to ask, right, because let's circle back to this leakages that we've seen that is now threatening 40 trillion naira revenue that's supposed to be contributed to the budget. How did the NRS miss this? Because there was a fiscal policy reforms that happened the entirety of last year, and our now Minister of Finance was the person in charge who was leading the charge in terms of these reforms. Because when you asked him, he said it was going to be tighter, you know, all the leakages will be stopped, there will be blocks to those gaps. But somehow this has happened. What did they miss?
No, I think what has happened now is that somebody has decided to make it a public issue. And I think that's a good thing. You know, so it's not as if this has happened. It's been happening. This is our norm. You know, governments don't pay taxes. It's so ironic. You know, so the same government wants citizens.
They don't pay NEPA bill. They don't pay water bill.
You know, because by culture in Nigeria, we have a culture of impunity and we have a culture of might being right. So because government is large, they just simply get away with whatever they can, right? So it's a beautiful thing that somebody has decided to make it a public matter. And I think, you know, for me, it's good signaling. It means that hopefully somebody wants to do something about it.
Quickly, just before we wrap up, Mr. Socio-political, if you can in less than a minute, I would appreciate. It's election season. Next year, we're going to the polls. I mean, these politicians will make decisions that affect our lives. And thankfully, whether for good or bad, there's a new tax regime, and every dime matters. So therefore, there's heightened interest in how my money will be spent. So when the politicians come to us, how do we, or is it the role of the media, how do we push conversation towards even for the opposition and the incumbent, towards talking about these very important issues that matter, rather than, you know, mundane, they didn't let me, they tore my card, they didn't find my registration card, and all those, you know, Nollywood drama that seems to occupy a lot of space in our discussions on air.
Sadly, our democracy is, like you said earlier, is nascent. We're still growing, right? So we're not at the stage where our elections are driven by ideas, you know, by intellectual discourse. The platforms where those conversations happen are too restricted. So you'd have, for example, the candidates going to talk to the Nigeria Economic Summit Group, for example. You know, they would have some sort of function where the candidates will come one by one and talk to this people.
Go to NIA instead of going to Chatham House.
Exactly, exactly. You know, we hopefully will get to that point, you know. So unfortunately, those conversations are nowhere near enough. The debates that are supposed to be national and that's where this conversation should happen and where they should hold some meaning, the main contestants have never taken them seriously. They've never attended, and those debates have zero impact on electoral outcomes. So when, you know, we'll just have to, it's a process, and we'll get there eventually.
So now, I guess for now, let's do it.
We'll dance at the rally.
Yes.
Yeah.
And let's do it. I'll give you light, I'll give you water.
Exactly.
As Shagari promised.
Thank you, Mr. Socio-political. Thank you for breaking
Thank you so much.
Next time we'll have you here. Hopefully we'll have our drawing board so we can break things down.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We'll do PowerPoint and everything.
Exactly. We'll go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll have another conversation to look into, but let's tell you what's coming up next here on Breakfast Central.
Nigeria is at a crossroads, or better yet, they are on the road to July, or rather to the elections come 2027. Now, one of the ruling party, or rather the ruling party of the country, the All Progressives Congress, APC, is yet again in the spotlight as governorship aspirants in at least 10 states have openly rejected consensus arrangements ahead of the primaries. Now, instead of rallying behind anointed candidates, they are demanding open contests. This is happening in states like Kwara, Lagos, Oyo, Adamawa, Rivers, Plateau, Bauchi, Gombe, Nasarawa, and Yobe states.
While 11 governors have successfully pushed consensus endorsements, these 10 states are resisting what many describe as imposition by party leaders. The APC has already raised over 5 billion naira from aspirants purchasing forms. And now the stakes are higher than ever. Primaries scheduled. The party faces a test of unity, credibility, and internal democracy. Will consensus hold, or will open primaries expose deeper cracks in APC's much-touted consensus model, collapse under pressure? These concerns also come amidst the crisis witnessed during the State House of Assembly elections, which took place in Lagos yesterday. Assembly primaries, I beg your pardon. Now, join us for today's discussion is APC chieftain and former federal lawmaker, Honorable Cletus Obon. A warm welcome to you, sir, and thanks for joining us this morning on Breakfast Central.
Thanks for having me, and welcome to Cross River State and the splendor of peace.
Okay, great to have you. Now, first of all, could you give us your overall assessment of the APC primaries that we've witnessed so far, from the senatorial primaries to the House of Reps, and then State Houses of Assembly primaries? We've seen videos of candidates cry, complaints, all sorts of issues. What's your overall assessment as an insider?
Well, it's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag of reactions and a mixed bag of actions in the different states. Each state comes with its own peculiarities, but the bottom line is predicted implosion if badly handled. If this present position is presently not handled with care and with firmness by the leadership of the party, most of whom have already compromised along ideological lines, along tendencies that are opposing to each other and contradictory to progressive politics. I break it down for you. In Cross River State, in Nasarawa State, in Yobe State, in Imo State, in Rivers, the peculiarity of their own state brings you to the fact that the first crack is about those who just joined the party and those who began the party, the foundation members, or those we call in our constitution the legacy members, who are the foundation members, and those who just joined from a position of strength. That is to say, a governor just joined, a senator just joined, a federal house member just joined, or a state house member just joined APC. And then those who have been sitting there in the hope that one day this party will become a ruling party and therefore they will benefit. 2 cycles of election between Buhari's regime and the third one in the first tenure of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and they are still expecting that they will be accommodated. And they are being told to wait. Age is not on their side. Patience eroding.
Honorable Obum, sadly, we can no longer hear you. Seems we do have some network connection issues there. We would have liked to listen to what he had to say, especially with the fact that he said there's a mixed reaction coming from the bag of the APC. Some members are not happy, some are very okay with what transpired. While we also saw, I would have loved to ask questions concerning the pocket-sized violence that we did see, especially in some areas. In the northern area yesterday, we did see some youths who protested angrily. They were not happy with what they saw. Some said that the results was indeed clear, but then again, when it was announced by the umpire present, it was a different result, and they got angry and said, no, you're not leaving. You can't do that. Why? So we're seeing a mixed reaction, quite frankly, like he said, but we would have loved to get more on where this would lead the party to.
Hopefully we should be able to reconnect with Honourable Cletus Obum, because there's a lot to unpack with regards to the primaries and the role of the party. What's going to happen next? How would they assuage and compensate the aggrieved members of the party? Because there are so many of them. And interestingly, with this new Electoral Act 2026, they have to be forced to remain in an unhappy union. So how would they navigate that? How would they manage that? Those are issues that will be raised. And it's not peculiar to the ruling APC. It's more in the fore for the APC because, I mean, they're the ruling party. But I'm sure we'll find the scenarios play out also with other opposition parties when they go to their primaries. But we have news that Honourable Obun is back. So I'll just let you complete your thoughts, sir.
Yeah, I was saying that this whole thing is about the legacy members and the foundation members on the one hand, and two, the issue of inordinate ambition of some of the electoral officers who want to please their paymasters. They have not got the integrity to conduct an internal election like a primaries. So you find a situation in which in one particular set of election in one senatorial district, in one voting center, you have 3 sets of officials to go and officiate. So in the morning, you have information from the officials that Mr. A, John, is going to conduct is the returning officer for this local government. And by the time you get to the ground, the person doing the announcement is not done.
Seem to have lost him there. Yeah. I would also like to hear about Cross River State as well. I mean, we do know that Cross River State, once a people's paradise, now is plunder of peace, but also a foundational state when it comes to the PDP, but since their change of colors and flags to the APC, it begs to ask about, the current state of, politics in the state as well, of Cross River State, across different lines as well. So I wish his connectivity is strong enough. There's so much to ask him there. Joe?
Yeah. I mean, we do wish that the conversation could last longer, just the fact that the network is not allowing us. But it's a conversation that we must have. I must really look at it because the members of the party, apparently as we speak now, some of them are aggrieved. And they're angry because they were not expecting that the primaries would go this way. They were expecting it was going to be smooth, easy, and just have your people come out and, before you say anything, it's done. And then you can decide to say, this is where I belong, this is not where I belong. But some are surprised that the primaries took a different turn. I mean, for the life of every Nigerian who has gone to school or didn't go to school, we've never seen a counting system done like that before, where you move from 1, 2, 3, to abracadabra, 100, and this is to the glaring
in the full sight of cameras.
That this is being carried out. Back again, one of the questions I would have loved to ask Honorable is, what precedents comes again are we setting for our children or for the younger generation? If in 2026 we could see someone count from 1 to 20 and from 20 goes to 100 in 6 years to come, we might see someone just say 1,000, 1,000 to 1,050 within just the space of counting 3 people. So what are we setting?
So one of our viewers already said it, that the 3 of us on set, he
3,000.
1,000 people on set. So, they've set the example already. Do you blame him? But it's really, really sad. Hopefully we can reconnect with Honorable Cletus Ogun. We'll give it one more try, and if we can, I guess that we'll have to move on to other conversations. But let's go on a quick break, and our engineers will try and re-establish connection with Honorable Cletus Ogun. And when we come back, we'll continue the conversation. Just stay with us. This is Breakfast Central.
Let's get on to one of the biggest stories shaking the nation. River State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has withdrawn from the All Progressives Congress governorship primary ahead of the 2027 elections. In a statement issued on Wednesday yesterday, Fubara said the decision followed extensive consultations with his family, friends, and political associates, adding that he would support whoever emerges as the party's candidate. He described the move as a sacrifice made in the interest of peace, stability, and unity in River State amid ongoing political realignments. The governor dismissed suggestions that his withdrawal was due to fear or weakness, insisting it was a strategic decision for the greater good of the state. Fubara also thanked President Bola Tinubu and the APC leadership for their support throughout the process.
His withdrawal comes amidst lingering political tensions linked to his fallout with former Rivers Governor Nyesom Wike, which triggered a prolonged power struggle involving the Rivers State House of Assembly and led to the declaration of a state of emergency in 2025. Now, join us this morning on Breakfast Central is the founder of TAF Africa, Mr. Jacob Pele, and PDP chieftain in Rivers State, Honorable Collins Odo. One welcome to you, gentlemen. And thanks for joining us this morning on Breakfast Central. I'd like to start with Mr. Pele. How did this news come to you? And what's your reaction that a sitting governor, in the person of Sir Siminalayi Fubara, will not be contesting for the governorship elections in Rivers State next year?
Well, I'll start by saying that it wasn't very surprising to me. However, what is most surprising is the deeper, it's a deeper dive and reflection of what our democracy is turning out to be. The godfatherism and the recklessness of politicians and people that don't have the heart for the people. You know, it's funny that this is happening in my dear state. And unfortunately, the political juggernauts have refused to listen to the voice of the people. The other unfortunate thing is the sitting governor who decided to just back out. And I was really reflecting this morning on his decision to back out. And I see someone that is trying to avoid a booby trap, a political booby trap. They've set up all the machineries to disgrace him, make sure that the system capture that the Honorable Minister have succeeded in creating in Rivers State would have rigged him out. You know, so I think he made a strategic decision and a strategic move to pull out instead of going to the kangaroo polls and be disgraced. And so it's just unfortunate. And what this pertains to 2027 will be a conversation that we will have on your program, because unfortunately, I stand here to say, or I sit here to say that the president didn't do well. He's actually responsible for this. And this is a slap on the Rivers people and a strategic move to thwart the will of the people. What this will pertain, we will see. And unfortunately, when two elephants are fighting, it's the grass that suffers the most. And in this scenario, the grass is the people of Rivers State. And I will continue to sue for peace. Nobody should take the law into his hand. Let's watch out. Right now, the fate of the Rivers people are in God's hand, not in President Tinubu, not in Wike, not in Fubara. The fate of Rivers people are in God's hand, and God will always decide. And so sometimes people say, oh, don't bring God into this. I bring God into everything. And I know that He's in absolute control of the affairs of men.
All right, Mr. Pele, I mean, I would have loved to talk about the bringing the God into it, because then again, God has given everyone his respective view and opportunity to make their own choices. So people have to make their choices. And that also borders on the major conversations we have here as journalists, who always say Nigerians have to choose. But I will come back to you on that. So let me go to Honorable Odu, who joins us here. Honorable Odu, you were a predictor, if I have to put it that way. You had said that he's not going to run for a second term. And you said that just last week when you were opportune to join us here on the Breakfast Show. We asked you, how do you know? So it seems like your prediction has come true. Maybe all those who engage in trying to predict scoreline of matches might want to have you on their speed dial. But can you tell us what this means, especially for the people of Rivers State and for democracy?
Thank you very much. Good morning, Nigerians. Thanks for having me. Like you said, my predictions were based on what were on ground. But before I go into this, I would like to correct an impression that our elder brother, Elder J. Kepele, mentioned, that it is an actualization of a system captured by the Honorable Minister of the FCT. I have told them a couple of times or countless times to let the FCT minister be. We run a system and we all belong to that political family. And we believe that everybody who is opportune to handle any position at any point in time must recognize the fact that he comes from a system and therefore oils such system. The governor had in different ways faulted himself and those who put him in the system. He has let us down. And the Honorable Minister cannot be called. It is a political family. And any decision that we take, the Honorable Minister should not be blamed for it. Let me go back to your point. Yeah, the Rivers people are very happy. You will recall that the state has been in turmoil for the past several years now because of bad governance. In short, we don't even have governance. I said it because I made my predictions because, first, the governor is already indicted when it comes to 2024 budget. There are other reasons why he cannot scale through. It's unfortunate that he let himself into traps like this and people will begin to blame others. But for Rivers people, we are good and clear on what is going on. We're very happy. We'll continue. We appreciate him for the time he has sent us back. We'll move forward. Going forward, we'll begin to put things in order. And then you'll see that there will be peace in Rivers State. Peace.
When you say peace, what do you mean by peace? Because there's been no issues of, unrest, civil unrest, so to speak, even before the time where the state of emergency was called. I mean, if you're going to juxtapose it with states that have been plagued or bedeviled by insecurity, or your state, for example. So what exactly is this peace that you speak of? I think that's the first question that comes to mind. But most importantly, the future of Rivers State. Who do you think, who then is, because now that Tony Cole has also pulled out from the primaries, and of course, the incumbent governor has now also pulled out from that primary race, who then is now the next to most likely take that ticket?
Yeah, we have 4 aspirants on the roll. So if 2 have withdrawn, even if we want to give it to the governor that he withdrew, but he never presented himself for the screening. You all know that he stormed out of the place, and the result of the screening has even shown that he was neither cleared nor rejected. So there are 2 personalities that are still remaining. We have Honorable O.K. Chinda and Honorable Kelly, Das Kelly. So the 2 of them this morning, we expect further dialogue to come up because this is a family. We expect further dialogue. By the end of today, we expect that one candidate will step down for another.
Okay, thank you.
The issue of peace, you said that the state is now experiencing peace. I'd like for you to speak on what exactly has been the issue that is now peace.
Sorry about the issue of peace. You know, peace of mind comes from, 1, your environment. If there are no influences on your environment, you have peace of mind. The one in Rivers State, we have been managing it since, just to make sure we don't come confronting each other. From time to time, there has been languages that could have led to breakdown of peace and order, but all of these we have been managing. That's why I told you there will be tranquility, peace in Rivers State, because we will have people with experience that knows what words of the mouth mean. of the body means. So as I speak with you now, going forward to make sure there is peace.
Thank you very much, Honorable Odu. I'd like to bring Mr. Jacob Pele back into the conversation. Mr. Pele, I have two questions for you. Number one, as Honorable Odu was speaking, I saw you vehemently shaking your head in disagreement. I'd like you to respond to Honorable Odu's statements. And the second part of my question is this. You've always been a part of this show. You're regular, following the trajectory from the state of emergency, the whole Fubara saga with the Rivers State House of Assembly, all of it. And one thing political scientists and analysts have said is that godfatherism is the bane of our democracy and is inimical to our democracy. Going forward, what can the people do? Because the definition of democracy implies that the people have the final say and it all comes back to the people. What can the people do to avoid state capture and this emergence of godfathers that would dictate the way things run in the state, regardless of how the people feel and what the people feel, which is inimical to democracy?
Thank you very much. I do respect my brother there, and I respect your opinion. But let me respond to some of the things that you say that looks totally not factual. One, the issue of budget. The governor couldn't have presented another budget when the president, supported by Nyesom Wike's system, had given him a budget. So he cannot present a second budget because you guys would have used it against him. The second thing is, look, I'm not a tribalist. I'm not, and I will never be. I don't care who rules if that person is qualified. But I am really shocked that it appears that the push of Chinda, who is a very good friend of mine and very intelligent person, you know, is another way of enthroning the continuation of Ikwere rulership in Rivers State. But I'm not going to go there, you know. Here's the thing. Truly and really, whether we call it system capture or structure capture, which is what the FCT minister has succeeded in doing, you know, he's definitely captured all the structure, and there's nothing anybody can do about that. Negotiating with people, ensuring that people leave and all that. And like I said, I don't blame the FCT minister as much as I blame the president. The president, as the father of nation, can step in and stop this mess. And I don't know what covenant he has with Wike that is allowing Wike to do whatever he likes. But that's not where I'm going. Let me answer your question. What can we do? Godfatherism is not part of democracy, period. Except there's a new political science theory. Godfatherism is not part of democracy, is never part of and will never be. And Godfatherism is destroying democracy and democratic dividends, you know. And so you can imagine what it would look like if tomorrow I say to Honorable Modu, oh, I want to fund you and for you to emerge, and then I sit in one place and remote control how he will govern and do whatever he's doing. Honorable Modu, that's not correct to say there's been no governance. There'll be no governance because the likes of Wike and his group refused to allow governance to take place in Rivers State. He's totally, absolutely responsible. Let me clear to tell you that I don't hate Wike. Wike is he has his own good side. All right. As a matter of fact, what you don't even know is that Wike signed the second policy that I did. The first policy, the albinism policy. So I owe him gratitude. All right. Now, talking about gratitude, you mentioned it. Fubara wasn't gratitude. Can I take you down memory line? And the governor of the former governor of Rivers State, Odili, was gracious to Wike, made him essay. Wike disappointed him. The good Lord Jonathan and the wife made him minister. Amechi made him chief of staff. How grateful was he to Amechi? Everybody that has helped Wike to climb, Atiku, everybody today, Wike is against them, and if not even in talking terms. Who is more an ingrate in comparison to Fubara? Fubara has taken a lot. Please, yes, I am from Opopo, but I'm not here to defend Fubara. I'm here to defend democracy. I'm here to defend the people. Fubara had taken a lot that even me, I will not take. As a matter of fact, what I think he should have done long time ago is to resign from his position as the governor of Rivers State, because it was totally, absolutely ungovernable. They made life miserable for that young man, you know. And so for anybody to stand here and say, oh, he didn't keep to terms. What terms? What terms? It wasn't Wike who voted him. It was the people of Rivers State that voted him. It was the people of Rivers State that gave him mandate. It was not even the president, Bola Tinubu. It was the people of Rivers State. And what has happened right now is a slap on the people of Rivers State. A stolen mandate. That's exactly what has happened. He's going to struggle to finish his terms if all the group will allow him to do what he has done. Go down the memory lane in terms of project and all that. I think Fubara had done better than Wike in terms of physical project that doesn't have unnecessary cost, that does not have debt that the next governor will come and inherit. Fubara had done well in the midst of chaos, in the midst of anarchy. You talk about peace not being in Rivers State. During the times of Wike, there was anarchy. But because he's almost a tyrant, he was able to contain some of them the way and manner he wanted. You know, so don't come on national television and we want to wash our dirty linen. And well, again, I respect him as an elder statesman. I'm not here to abuse him. No, I'm stating the obvious. I respect you, my brother. You have every right to express yourself, say whatever you want to say. You understand? What we are doing here is to state our own issues the way they are. I'm not in defense of anybody. I'm not in defense of Fubara. Is Fubara a perfect leader? He's not. Is Wike a perfect leader? He's not. Is me a perfect leader? We are not. However, let us be honest and present facts the way they are so that we don't deceive the audience that we are trying to inform. You know, there had been relatively peace in Rivers State. And if there was no peace, it's because the camp of Wike and the sitting members of the assembly, you made life miserable for Rivers people. You did. They did.
Okay.
All right.
Mr. Epele, and also Honorable Du, please hold on for a few minutes or seconds. I will need to go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll look at another update very quickly. We're told that Honorable George Kelly has also pulled out of the race, and we'll see what this means, especially for the people of Rivers State. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us here on Breakfast Central. We're looking at the big one coming out of Rivers State, where the sitting governor, Governor Siminalayi Fubara, has withdrawn from the primaries of the APC ahead of the 2027 elections. Not just him, you also have another member of the APC, apparently two more, just early hours of this morning. After that of Governor Siminalayi Fubara, we had Honorable George Kelly, who also says he's pulling out after consultation. And then, of course, you also have another APC member who equally has pulled out. But let's take a look at this video. When we come back, I'd like to speak with you, Honorable Collins Odu, to look at some of the impact of all of this.
Knowledge
The recent Supreme Court pronouncement of Governor Siminalayi Fubara's victory in the governorship election. As a committed Democrat, I respect the rule of law and therefore pursue the electoral process diligently. Regardless of the outcome, my belief in democracy and service to the people remains unwavering. I accept the court's decision without reservation, understanding that it aligns with what God wants at this time. Our collective goal is peace and a conducive environment for growth. I pledge to collaborate with all well-meaning individuals in and out of government to revive Rivers State to a place where commerce and development thrives and people can live harmoniously.
That's Chief Toye Cole right there, who was looking to also run within the APC. But then again, let me come to you, Honorable Odu. We've seen 3 members pull out, and then, of course, we're looking forward to see who will remain at the primaries. But with all of this, Governor, especially Governor Siminalayi Fubara, who has been sitting as a governor of the state, would you say that the Rivers State people have enjoyed the true dividends of democracy, despite the fact that we've seen a rift going back and forth?
Thank you for having me once more. Yeah, before I respond to if Rivers people have had peace and governance,
have benefited.
Let me respond to our elders' 2 statements. There are 2 statements he made, and they are very critical. First, he said he portrayed the FCT minister as being ungrateful. I want to disagree with him on that. The FCT minister, when he was governor, former Governor Peter Odili, he could get several projects in Rivers State that his name is attached to for gratefulness. The same thing he did for virtually all of those who mentored him to become the human being he is today, and he continues to do that. So to say that the man is not grateful, he has not come anywhere to challenge any of them. He has kept mute, not because they are too good to him, but because he respects the fact that, yes, he is grateful to them. When he was a governor, the first project he did in Rivers State, it was the former president, President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, that came to commission that project. There was a reason why he did that. It is, if he is not aware of it, let me tell him, it is the Mbogu Road where they have the first bridge that was done by a Rivers man, John Mbata. So this is a man who shows so much gratitude, but does not care what others do. Then again, he was throwing up a tribal card. Somehow he realized himself and then withdrew. Please, I don't think that Governor Nyesom Wike or former Governor Nyesom Wike, the FCT minister, can be blamed for any tribal card. He is not from the riverine, but he selected Governor Siminalayi Fubara against all odds. Let me not go deep into that because we're in an election period now. We must make sure we don't say words that will hit up the polity. People who don't have facts should not come to the public to begin to deceive the public. So to your question about Rivers people, yes, we've not had governance. If you must put 2 things side by side, the way the governor is troubled, the same way the FCT minister is troubled. But today, the FCT minister has gotten a lot of laurels and comments from people concerning the way he has been executing his jobs. Nobody is hindering.
Okay.
He has held himself to the ground. Okay, is it possible that the man who passed his budget to the assembly, how can you be said to be planning very well? How can you be said to be planning very well when the request?
We seem to have lost the PDP chieftain, the River State, Mr. Collins, or Honorable Collins Odu. Unfortunately, my next question was for him, and that was about the PDP, because we know that Wike, who is the minister of the FCT is a member of the PDP. In fact, he is leading the faction that is recognized by INEC plus the courts. But to see him so meddle with the issues of the APC, it asks a bigger question. And let me ask you, Mr. Ekpele, about the polity and the politics that is playing out in River State. This misaligned bedmates, or should I say this rainbow alliance between the APC and the PDP in River State, what then will be the future of River State, where Wike is clearly playing for both sides? And I mean, there's a PDP chieftain here who is speaking for the APC and, you know, the moves of what a former member of their party is doing. I mean, let me start with you, Mr. Ekpele.
Well, you know, listen, I am 65. I cannot come on a national television and tell stories or lies. No, it will never happen. It's not in my character. Neither will I abuse anybody. I won't. Again, I respect my brother, who is on the other side. What has happened is both himself and Wike, they have one foot in APC and one foot in PDP. So let's put that aside. Secondly, obviously, you see, I said this minutes ago, and minutes ago, a breaking news came out that Kelly has stepped aside.
Absolutely.
So we see the entrenchment and the return of the queries to continue, you know, and heaven knows when that will stop. Again, I refuse to play the tribal card. I'm not. You know, if he's competent, if the people will vote him, let him continue. It doesn't matter where he comes from. But I'm just stating the obvious, you know. So to say that, Wike was grateful to all these people, tell me, my brother, which of them is he talking to today? He's a staunch enemy of Odili. He's not in talking terms. He's not in talking terms with Jonathan and his wife. He's not in talking terms with Amechi. These are the people that paved the way for him to emerge. And none of them that today he is talking to, they don't see eye to eye. So is that somebody who was grateful? But let's not go there. You see, in relationship, you don't burn bridges, you know, and he has burnt his own bridges and even want to increase the sea so that nobody can build bridge across it. So what happened? What does this portend going forward? It's a destruction of democracy, you know. Now, the power dynamics is shifting. And I want to look through the lens of your camera and speak to the people of River State. The power does not lie in anybody's hand. It doesn't lie in Bola Tinubu. It doesn't lie in Wike's hand. No, the power lies in your hands. You can decide who leads you. You can decide, and once you make that choice, you will have to live with it. And I want you to make that choice in the most peaceful manner, in the most disciplined way that a Rivers person is known to. Vote your choice and ensure that you stay with the person, whoever. It doesn't matter right now. It doesn't matter which political party, you know. Anybody that qualifies, vote that person. No matter how much money they have, no matter how much federal might they want to exercise. If the people of River State refuse, we will not take anybody that is going to be imposed on us to rule us by fire, by force. It's not going to happen. Let the people of River State rise up and follow the power of the ballot and vote out the person that we know will ruin the state. It's obvious. So that said, it's a total erosion of democracy, democratic processes, democratic dividend. That's what we're seeing. You know, this is very undemocratic. Now we are seeing the emergence of a candidate that did not even enjoy the finality of primary. So what is going to happen now is a consensus candidate, which Honorable Chinda will emerge. There's no doubt about that, you know. But these are some of the problems the Electoral Act brought to us. And we're now living with it. Instead of allowing the people to choose who will lead them or who will go there to represent them in a voting process, we will now go in a chambers, decide that this is the person we want, you know, and of course, he who pays the piper takes the tune. So Wike will continue to be the Lord and Master and the Emperor of Rivers State as long as he's allowed to do so. But the will of the people will not be thwarted. That I know. So my brother, please, to be honest with you, let us present facts. I've always enjoyed your analysis. I do respect the depth of your knowledge. But let's present facts, you know, so that people that are listening to us will not believe something that is not, or what I would describe as alternative facts. There's no alternative facts. Truth is truth, you know. And so let's see as things play out. I can tell you one thing for sure, you know, God eventually will decide who rules Rivers State. Because this level of marginalization and trying to strangle us is very painful. And it's painful the more because it's coming from a Rivers man, an indigent, somebody who has been governor for 8 years. Amechi was the governor for 8 years. Handed over to Nyesom Wike, you know, governor for 8 years. Nobody brought this kind of disruption during his tenure. You know, a riverine person came only 4 years. They wouldn't even allow him to even govern.
All right.
And now he's been putted out, and we are bringing a continuation of another Ikwere person who is obviously going to be there for another 8 years. This is not right, whether anybody likes it or not, you know. And so forget about coalition or no coalition. Mr. Nyesom Wike had succeeded in becoming the John the Baptist of the Bible. 1 foot in Old Testament, 1 foot in New Testament. So he has 1 foot in APC, 1 foot in PDP. I've never seen this kind of political strategy. I think Wike and even the president, they need to open Leadership Institute and teach people how to rigmarole the system and capture the structure and enthrone themselves forever.
All right. Gentlemen, we must say thank you for taking out the time to join us. All eyes are now on Rivers State, just ahead of the primaries. Who will emerge the ticket bearer for the governorship elections for the APC? Only time will tell. Will the PDP also have a candidate as well to represent them come the governorship election for 2027? Only time will tell. All eyes are on Rivers State. Mr. Jekekbele, Director for TAF Africa, and also PDP chieftain, Honorable Collins Odo. Gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you. God bless Rivers people.
Thank you very much. But I would have loved to respond to him, but no time.
Unfortunately, no time. Okay. But we would like to have you back. So just keep your phone lines open. We'd like to have you back, please.
Both of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Developing story, by the way, just to mention, a few minutes ago, Honorable George Kelly has also joined in pulling out of the Rivers State governorship race. That's an update.
Well, Nigeria's 2027 presidential race is gradually taking shape as the African Democratic Congress moves forward with a screening process for aspirants seeking the party's presidential ticket. Among those reportedly screened are former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and the former Managing Director of FSB International Bank, Mohammed Hayatu-Deen, highlighting growing political activities within the opposition ahead of the next general elections.
The exercise held behind closed doors at the Transcom Hilton Abuja was conducted by a screening panel that was chaired by former Cross River State Governor Leal Imoke, with Cyril Mbanduabam serving as secretary. For many observers, the ADC's screening process was watched not only for who would eventually emerge, but also for what it could mean for the broader opposition strategy against the ruling APC. But beyond the screening itself, attention is also turning to growing conversations around a possible consensus arrangement after aspirants reportedly signaled their willingness to support a unified process if it strengthens the party's chances in 2027.
Internal processes. So what do you want me to tell you? Everything went well. Thank you very much.
It's a screening exercise. So there are certain constitutional requirements that must be met. There are also party requirements that must be met. So an exercise like that is hardly a take a bow and go, because it's important that their documentation be verified. The process went very well. The 3 aspirants were in attendance, and we received their documents and screened them, and we'll be reporting back to the party accordingly.
I've just been screened. We're waiting for the outcome.
Okay.
But I assumed it was successful. Yes. That's my assumption, because I've been a governor before, so I don't know what I would have done that would make them disqualify me, so I assume it's successful. I always say, please, make this in a referendum. All of us have been party. We have held one position or the other. Let's go back to what the positions we served and assess us by that.
Everything went well. Thank you very much.
Going forward, we are now going to go through a major momentous event, in the sense that we will either undergo a consensus exercise or go into direct primaries within the short period of time that is available.
We're now joined by former member House of Representative for Calabar Udupani Federal Constituency of CRS and member of the ADC. Nkoyo Toyo joins us this morning. Thank you so much, Honorable, for joining us. Let's go straight into it. The ADC has screened major aspirants. They are powerhouses. They include former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, not forgetting to politician Hayatu-Deen, and also former Governor of Rivers State, former Minister of Transport, and the likes. Let's put that quickly into context. What does this tell us about the party's ambitions for 2027? And are we going to see a smooth run-in, or it's going to be a Herculean task, if you put it that way?
Well, thank you very much for having me this morning. It's indeed a privilege and honor to be able to speak to all of you. I guess this is the most symbolic moment in terms of the process so far nationally across all political parties. I must say that it gives me a sense of great pride to be associated with the ADC, in the sense that what we've seen of many other political parties, and this is not supposed to be an indictment, it's just a statement of fact, that we've seen endorsements of emerging candidates as sole candidates of the party. But this is the first party that is putting to test its own internal democratic processes. And I think we must say something about the very nature of the ADC itself, a party that is a product of a coalition of different political interests coming together, and just the dexterity with which it has managed these complexities speaks to the abiding, I would say, democratic value that underpins what's going on within the party. And I guess that this is a moment which I'm greatly proud of it. And I believe that the process having come this far gives us a chance to see to what extent this party believes in the institutions that define democracy.
The institutions that define democracy. And one of the issues that have now plagued the ruling party is the matter of consensus, and that seems to be rearing its head as well for the ADC. Do you see any likely chance of a consensus being played out on the ADC regarding the presidential ticket, or will it still go to the primaries?
I wouldn't be in a position to make that conclusion. But I think the party is very much open to the options that are available within the ambit of the law. The law allows us to explore consensus. That's very legitimate. And at the same time, the law also allows us to go to direct primaries. If the contestants insist, I'm sure the party is very well able and prepared to take the process to its logical end.
Honorable Toyo, the reason why your party is involved in the presidential race is to get to power. But, I mean, watchers of Nigeria's recent political history know that the last time the incumbent lost was to a coalition of different political parties, a sort of amalgamation. And we're currently witnessing fractured opposition, the ADC, NDC, and also other political parties, SDP. Is there any hope, or what's the ADC strategy for securing the #1 office in the land? And is there any hope of a future sort of coalition or alliance with other opposition parties to unseat the ruling APC?
Well, that's a very important question to start with. You must realize that many of those who are contesting in whatever platform they are contesting are not visitors to the political terrain. They have met themselves in one form or the other at different political formations. These are not they are not like people who have just come in and said, okay, here am I'm running for this. So just in terms of their political journey and their political history, these are people who have shown, and until a couple of weeks ago, they have shown the ability to coalesce. Beyond even the coalition that had been built, just by way of information, what we had in 2023 wasn't basically a coalition. It was different political parties running their different streams. But what we have seen in this particular election is the recognition that there is need for parties to work across party lines and to build something called, it's not a merger per se, but it's a coalition. And they have been to that process even within the ambit of the ADC. And ADC has worked extensively in this formative period of rebuilding the party to see that it brings together a rainbow of interest. It didn't quite work 100% the way it was initially envisaged. But notwithstanding, I mean, the beauty of what we saw was the ability of people to speak across different political interests and to bring the different political interests into this group of into this platform. But you mustn't also forget that in addition to bringing the different people into the platform, we did go to Ibadan, and there's a subsistent agreement that the political parties will evaluate the situation on ground and work together as best as they can towards some sort of understanding. This is not a peculiarity of Nigeria. Across the world, different political parties have been known to come together and face the ruling party in order to be able to bring down the ruling party. Bring down is probably the wrong word, the defeat of the ruling party. Therefore, I guess, and I believe, I have every reason to hope that as we progress in this journey, we're going to see some reality check. People are going to come together and say, look, are we doing the right thing here? Or is there something we can do differently? And what are the lessons of the past and how can we come together? I do not think that anybody wants to go into this for the sake of going into it. I believe different people will have reason to say to themselves that, look, we've done a good job of trying to project what we wanted to do. But on the ground, the good job is not good enough. Let's see how we can work together. I definitely believe that there is room for that. We have demonstrated that in the ADC over the last 6 months or so, and I do not think that we've lost the capability and the sophistication, as it were, as a political party to return to those winning ways and bring back the people that we have earlier on engaged in this process. You'll remember that even the meeting in Ibadan was not primarily driven by the ADC. It was driven by the Makinde-led PDP, and just by way of organizing it. And that was in itself a sign of the doors that have been opened in terms of engagement and in terms of just being able to look at the options that are there for us to follow through. Thank you.
Okay, Ambassador Toyo, I'd like us to also look at structures, because whether we like it or not, structures is also key, but I wouldn't want to touch the structures yet. I think the most important conversation that everyone is having about the ADC, your party, is the fact that one of the candidates here does not believe that power should shift to the south. Now, he's of the opinion that it's going to be a big mistake, and I'm talking about the former Vice President, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. What do you make of this? Do you think this would in any way scuttle the chances of the ADC from just having a free and fair primaries and then moving straight to the elections come 2027?
I think language is important. Let's not use the language that doesn't represent what the former Vice President said. I think what we have heard him say is that the elections are open in terms of where he stands to anybody in the country as a constitutional issue to contest for. I don't think his position is that the South does not have a claim to it. The South can claim for it, but it is also not a question that means he should be excluded, which is slightly different from not believing. Believing in a party, in a process of the South taking it, I think that's a question of what we'll see from the outcome. If he ends up being the candidate of the party, he must be able to prove to us why he thinks he can win the ticket against all other candidates that are coming from the South.
All right.
So I guess that to that extent, we must put that on record, that's where he stands. But at this point in time, the process is still being addressed. We haven't reached the point as a political party where we say this is definitively the candidate that's going to fly the flag of the party. So it may be a bit premature for us to make postulations around what should be the expectations going forward.
With expectations going forward, all eyes are on ADC. Time will tell whether or not there's what the primaries will be. But also, there's also a big issue when it comes to, or a bigger conversation that needs to be had about, mass appeal for all candidates that are vying for the ticket for ADC. I wish there was enough time. We hope to bring you back, Ambassador, to come and have more to talk deeply on these issues. Well, we wish you all the best come the primaries, and we wish ADC all the best. Ambassador, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going on a short break. When we come back, it's going to be in-depth analysis on the front pages of Nigeria's newspapers. It's a New Hoover review after the break. Stay with us.
Thanks for staying with us here on Breakfast Central. The front pages of the newspapers is up next. We have public affairs analyst Mr. Dotun Ojon. Was good.
Great to have you, Mr. Dotun Ojon. I'm looking like royalty.
It's good to see you.
Purple.
Dotun Ojon.
Joe used to be a hype man in his
past life.
Let's go straight now. Before we come back to the papers, we have to move very swiftly. Let's join our reporter who's on ground. He touched down Oyo State, and he has been giving back-to-back reports on the latest regarding the abducted students and teachers. Israel Iferobo joins us live this morning. Israel, good morning. Can you hear us?
Hello, Joe. Good morning to you too. Can you hear me?
Absolutely, loud and clear. So give us an update on what's happening. What's the latest? Have there been any releases in terms of having the students go back home?
Well, one thing I can say here is this. The students are not back home right now, but efforts are ongoing right now by a combined team of the Nigerian Air Force, the military, the police, and the NSCDC, plus the vigilantes on the ground here, combing the forest to try and see just how far they can go and to secure the rescue of these abducted persons that we know have been in the forest for some days now, since last week Friday. Since we got on the ground here yesterday, we've seen lots of activities from this from the security agencies here, meetings, engagement with the community, trying to see if there might have been some sort of informants, within the community that aided, this particular crime that has been committed in Bomosho, in Orire, local area of Oyo State. So that's one thing that we know has been happening. A combined team of security agencies are working really hard to ensure the release of all persons that are now in the forest. One thing that the community is indeed talking about is the fact that they want the federal government to, as a matter of urgency, to do something about the reserves, our forest reserves. If the forest reserves are no longer viable, if the forest reserves are no longer what is bringing profitable venture to Nigeria, if it is now a haven for terrorists and terror and for criminal elements to hide after perpetrating any sort of evil, they are saying that they may just have to take out forest reserve, and maybe they are asking specifically for a military base to be created in this area as well to secure lives and property of the people here. Joe.
Well, thank you so much, Israel, for that update. And we're also aware that the IG was there and spoke with the people. We'll touch base with you again, and we're certain that you'll be giving us updates in between programs. So thank you once again, Israel Eferobo. Let's now focus on the front pages of the newspapers. Papers where we're going to first. Fubara withdraws as APC governors emerge sole aspirants. That's one of the biggest story on the front page there. Without further ado, we'll go straight to that story. It's not just Fubara. We also have George Kelly. George Kelly has withdrawn. Also, Mr. Tonyeko also withdrew from the race of being the River State governor, especially for the primaries. What's your take on this back and forth?
Did you see it coming, and what's the implication?
Okay, so I never saw the withdrawal coming. I only
Just
saw...
like Ashake, you never saw it.
Benga, you are hereby banned from making any sound.
The dictatorship.
So,
2.0.
Please forgive us. This is what I have to do.
You're already affecting me.
Sorry, forgive us. Please continue.
So I actually never saw it coming. The permutation for me has always been the fact that Fubara was going to lose the primary. But I think he was wise enough to get to that point of saying, oh, see, I cannot continue. And you see, it's always been the same template since, I can remember since 1979, that a godfather gives you structure, funds you, gets you power. And at the end of the day, you get to power and the demands of the godfather becomes burdensome to you.
A pound of flesh is more than a pound of flesh.
Yes, maybe your demeanor also becomes offensive to the godfather. And there's always a contest of power after that.
Is that what similar with Desmond Elliot? You can go on.
But again, it's always been that in politics, there are two basic strategies. If you are in this situation, it's either you become tougher or you become meaner. For you to become meaner, it means that you have the structure on ground. And when anybody backs at you, you back. But it's going to be the height of unseriousness if you want to become meaner without having the structure and the power in place. The second option is to become tougher. When they spit on your face, you rub it there and you say, I need to get this job done. Unfortunately, no matter how you want to see it, the art of becoming anything in politics is an offensive art. What do I mean? When Wike brought Fubara, he offended a lot of people who said, where did you get this man from? At that point in time, he was just looking for somebody he was able to trust. And I said that you will not get to a point where you will forget all of this. And you can be emotional about it. I'm going to tell you a personal story. I was in a mess, trying to fix something. And the guy that was driving me said, sir, I have a contribution of 30,000 naira. I will not forget the story. I have a contribution of 30,000 naira that I have done in the church. It is actually my turn to collect the money. So he drove me to the church, collected the 30,000 and handed it over to me to fix what I needed to fix at that point. About 2 or 3 years later, the guy ran with my over $1 million naira. Do you know that everybody was saying, go and arrest him? But I was not seeing the fact that he ran with my money. I was seeing the 30,000 naira he gave me years back to bail me out. At every point, we are meant to offend one another. But we must not get to a point where we will forget everything that we've done for one another in the process of governance that will afflict or affect the people. What has happened in Rivers? And we are not here to kill behind anybody. it's an unfortunate situation. You cannot have a tenure of 4 years, and 3 years of those tenure is to settle one crisis or the other. Then, where is the dividend of democracy that the people voted for you to actually give to them? So I think now, nobody is a loser at the end of the day. Because for you to have ruled a state like Rivers for 4 years, you are not a loser.
How about the Rivers people?
Those are the major concern. My concern, you know, I've repeatedly said it, that at the end of the day, democracy is about the people, not about the governor, not about the godfather. It's about the people. And any process, any agreement, any permutation, any project or program that excludes the people or take them away from getting the dividend of democracy is something that we should not encourage. And I'm really very sad about what
I miscalculated something in my evaluation of this whole thing, and it was my own miscalculation was that I thought that in the next term of President Tinubu, it would be him conversing for the favor of Nigerians, of the fondness that Nigerians have given to his opponents. I think he wants that. And so in my calculation of this whole, if he wins, right? And in my calculation of this, I thought that this would have been the vehicle to get the favor or the fondness of Nigerians. My own calculation, and when I was looking at the board, I thought to myself, the only way that Fubara would come back is if he wants the fondness of Rivers State. Do you think that the number one leader or the leader of the APC has washed his hands completely and damned all of the goodwill of Nigerians and by extension Rivers State by this move?
Okay, so unfortunately...
Or is it just politics?
No, unfortunately, you see, our situation in Nigeria becomes dicey when you look at the percentage of the people that decides our destiny direction. What do I mean? The political people in Rivers belong to Wike as we speak. So any action of the president that favors Wike is a right course in politicking.
So he doesn't want the fondness, it's more or less because Wike is instrumental. But then,
so how do you get the vote? Majority of those people, majority of those people who come on the air to make some of this analysis are valueless when it comes to democracy. Majority of them cannot even control 2 people. So when you're doing your political calculation, you're looking at the numbers, because politics at the end of the day is about numbers. Who gets you the highest of the number? And at the end of the day, President Tinubu is the greatest beneficiary. Either Fubara gets the ticket or not, he still has something to lose. He still has something to lose.
What is it?
Oh, after office, you will see it. So he needs to do everything possible to ensure that at the end of the day, it's not sin, because now he has come across as somebody who cannot keep by agreement. Governor Fubara never came out to say that, to talk about the details of the agreement that he has consistently entered into. It is not 1, it is not 2, sir. So he hasn't said anything. Now, if he says tomorrow that, oh, he's going to support another person outside of President Tinubu, in Nigeria kind of politics, he will pay dearly for it.
I don't think he would do that. That would be suicidal.
Yeah.
What if he decides to move to the NDC?
He cannot.
He cannot.
Yes, you can only move there as a spectator. You cannot move there as a contestant. No, it's clear. So that's what the issue is.
When we look at the long line of persons who have been instrumental to the notoriety that the APC has, whether it's Amechi, whether it's El Rufai, their fates have, I mean, we've seen how it's played out. Are you saying after the elections are won, and if the president wins this election come 2027 and becomes president, Wike will become disposable?
See, in Nigeria kind of politics, there's no permanent enemy and there's no permanent friend. Anything can happen. What divides people the most is interest. And of course, after the 2027 election, interest will change. The interest will not be about Bola Ahmed Tinubu again. It will be about who becomes what in 2031. And this is what I want everybody to learn from the politician. No matter how you see them, but the power of planning is always very present with them. They begin the plan for the next election on the day of the last one. So after 2027, the permutation will change, the game plan will change, the loyalty will change, and the duration of political calculation and involvement will also change. At that point in time, it doesn't matter who does what. The interest is that who becomes what in 2031 will overshadow whatever it is that will be done between 2027 and 2031. And let me quickly say it. There's always a reason for the godson and the godfather to fight. If you trace it backward, because I wanted to actually look through history, and one of the things that stood out for me was what happened between 1979 and 1983. Let's start from Kwara State. From Olusola Saraki and Adamu Atta. Their own story was so how elementary that one of the things that Saraki said at that point in time was the fact that the governor stopped receiving him at the airport. Yes, that's one of the things he said, that the governor actually stopped receiving him at the airport. And because of that, he had problem. And you can continue to actually look at it. You remember the case of Ibadan, the Adedibu story. The worst of it is the case of Ngige. They came into the government house to abduct him while he was governor, because they said this agreement is agreement that they are talking about. It's not today, oh. It was the issue of agreement. They said this man signed an agreement. He never had the political capacity to win election. So he signed an agreement, help me with Andy Uba, and at the end of the day, he reneged. Yeah. They came into the governor's house and kidnapped him. Do you know why all of these things are happening now? And it's like President Tinubu, he has seen that other people did worse. President Obasanjo, within a short period of time, yes, and that's my fear. There will be somebody again who will come after Tinubu, who will be crazier, and will do a lot of things. And if we are not careful, we will destroy this our democracy with our hands, and that is my fear.
Very well said. But let's take a look at
this Nigeria, Winga.
Yes, this Nigeria, we bow out. But I want us to, before we go to, this Nigeria, I want us to look at this, because as far as I'm concerned, it should be the #1 topic in the land. We've seen a beheading, we've seen insecurity. Without people, you wouldn't even have these elections to start with if there's no peace in the land. So I want us to look at Abbas demands rescue as military deploys jets, or your abduction. And also establish the editorial for Punch newspaper says, establish Southwest Security Trust Fund now. My question is this, deploy military jets, how will that help rescue the people in the national park? You have drones, you have people on the ground, and the first 48 hours is very important. The presidency didn't even acknowledge this until late on Monday. And then establish Southwest Security Trust Fund. More money, more money. Is it a money issue or capacity issue? Like, just get this job done with.
Governance, either democracy or any kind of governance, is about 5 P's. #1 is program and policies of government. #2, project. But the most important one, #3, is priority. #4, prosperity. And the 5th one is poverty. Your priority determines whether your people will enjoy prosperity or poverty. What we have at the moment is not that the bandits are more powerful. It's just that our priorities are wrong. When we lay emphasis on who becomes what, why we have not safeguarded our country, then our priority becomes questionable. I believe in Nigeria to a point where I know that we have the capacity, if we make a resolution that we want to flush out bandits. I was here on the program and I painted a gory picture of the strategy of Boko Haramism and bandits in Nigeria. And it's like nobody is listening. The other day, I was here when I told the story of how they gathered money to pay ransom. And it was the guy they rescued that was paying the money back to people that they borrowed the money from. And I said it, with banditry in Nigeria, they are not so intelligent. It's like stealing meat from the okra soup. If you look very well, you will see the direction that they are going. Look at this very carefully. At a point you heard that before the former governor of Ondo State died, there was some sensitive report and it kept coming out, Alakunim, Akeredolu, and that's why you saw that he was fierce about the issue of Amatekun. Because they were coming from Kogi and they've taken a huge part of Ondo State, especially from the Owo, Ose, Axis. Now they are coming from that direction. They are coming from Ibadan, from Oyo State, through Kwara. They are coming from Kwara through Oyo State. The utmost target is Lagos. And you may ask the question, why are they targeting Lagos? When President Goodluck Jonathan was there, the strategy of his security men we were able to peep into it was the fact that let them cage Boko Haramism within the Northeast. For them to make a statement, they came and bombed the UN house. That brought international attention and it discredited the government. If they get, by any chance, they get to Lagos, do you know what that means? It means that they've taken over Nigeria. Lagos is the only place that is left. And you can see the direction. They are coming through 3 ways. They are coming from the Ondo State houses. And you can see the trailers. They are coming, they are kidnapping, they are killing people, they are taking ransom. They are coming from Oyo State. And now, there's a road that leads Ibadan to Ijebu-Ode. They have taken over that road again.
Defense headquarters just 2 days ago said that the bandits and criminal elements and terrorists don't have a base in the southwest. But meanwhile, the Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò, Mr. Gani
has flagged it.
Said that they are known terrorist locations within the southwest. So what are we to believe?
Okay, so speaking from both sides, you discover that the military knows what they are saying. They know the reality, but they don't want to speak panic. But the truth is that there's already panic. Last week, was it this week?
This week.
School shut down in Ogbomoso. Shop shut down in Ogbomoso because people were afraid. So they've already created that panic within the community. So what to do to douse the tension is not just to speak about the fact that when you say there are no terrorist camps and they are kidnapping, does it align? It doesn't align. These people are taking these people to somewhere. So they may not be camp. Okay, let's even agree that they are not camps.
For commercial purposes, kidnapping for ransom.
Should I told you how this thing started? Locals have actually bought franchise into crime.
Yes.
And it's always a product. I've said it before. Psychologically, philosophically, the principle of 10%. If 10% of your populace choose to do crime, it is the duty of government to rally the remaining 90% against this 10%. But you know what happens? When you don't rally the 90% against the 10%, and the 90% begins to see...
Increase.
Yes. When they begin to see that suddenly somebody bought a car in the community, when they begin to see that somebody built house, who is not a politician, they begin to ask, what's the source of your wealth? And before you know it, they begin to actually recruit people into it. That's why the volatility is this high. Are there camps? I don't know. Are the people being kidnapped daily? I do know. So the reality is facing us in the eye, and we can no longer pretend.
Other camps could be. I mean, because there could be, because...
I mean, look at the old Oyo...
Yeah, so there could be camps as well. When you talk about locals, there's an image that just popped up in my mind. This was early 2000s. My stepmother is from Kaduna State, right? And so we were, during the long holidays, we would travel by road to Kaduna State. And the reasons why is because we'll make stops along the way to go to Cross River, where we're from, right? It was more enjoyable, but there was something that stood out to me. There were a car that was moving with the speed of lightning, but it looked like they were going for a funeral. So their car was filled, it was overloaded, right? So it had a lot of foodstuff. And then just as we passed it, it had overturned. It got into an accident. Now, it's very ghastly, but there's likelihood of somebody would have survived, although internal injury. But what was interesting about that scene was that apparently, I didn't know how these people had come out immediately, and they were now not pulling out the people, the food stuff in the vehicle, and they were by the roadside. They were older, I'm not going to say the tribe, older gentlemen who were there like, okay, you bring the rice, you bring the gari. This is isolated village that is on the express by the side. And then the driver said something. He said, they caused that accident. He said they caused that accident. And so it makes you wonder how much more of the ungoverned areas and those places that are deserted that have caused, that could be happening that we do not know in the urban areas.
The truth is that we can condemn any government, and I keep saying it. Your government is a reflection of your mentality, your mindset, how you would do something and all of that. That's why you see people are greedy in government, have you noticed? But go to a party where they are sharing, what do they use? Paka, where they are sharing paka. Men will be fighting because of paka. You continue to wonder, do you want to go and sweep in your house? Men will be fighting. So the government, it's just the reflection of who we are. And we must get to a point where we become extremely serious. And now you can talk about the leaders and the followers kind of a theory in leadership. That who is supposed to change? Is it the leaders or the followers? And I'm going to bust your bubble. It's easy to say, oh, it's the leaders that will change. But how many of us can actually change the process that benefits us? Presently, the Nigeria that is not working, the structural deficit we have is benefiting our leader. So they are not going to change anything.
Of course.
It is the followers, because democracy, as long as we are in a democracy, it is the followers that will change. Just yesterday, in Akure North local government of Ondo State, they were doing primary election. So they have told them that they should come out and take 1,000. So a lot of people, the person didn't see it coming. The entire community almost emptied itself into the ground. When he saw it, he said, no, I changed my mind. I'm making 500. Despite that, people are still fighting. They say, 500. That's the kind of people we are.
Mr. Dr. John.
Weaponization of poverty. It's a sad reality.
When would the day of reckoning come for us? That we will reject 1,000 naira,
wait
500 naira.
for the trumpets to blow.
Baba, leave that bell. Maybe that bell is what?
We wrap up, my people. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back again
Thank you very
tomorrow.
much.
Olive is back tomorrow.
Next. Judith, thank you.
Thank you,
Mr. Dr. John.
Wonderful.